The way I came up with it was quite simple. I sent an email to a load of friends. And you know that cup of coffee that you have because you need coffee? Like you functionally need coffee. It isn't about that. The cup of coffee that you have when you want to drink coffee because coffee tastes nice. You know, it's coffee as pleasure, not coffee as need. When you're drinking coffee for pleasure, is there anything that you enjoy with your coffee? It's a nice accompaniment. And most of them very kindly email back. What about you guys? Anything you take with coffee? Just hardcore. Just coffee.
Dense goat cheese.
Dense goat cheese. Really?
I'm serious.
I can see that. Yeah, in the CIA, I went up there and I did basically a lecture based on signature drinks. Did 3 drinks and did the explanations. And I was asking the same question to the audience. And it was a mixture of staff, all kind of dressed in either waiters' outfits or chef's whites, and faculty, dressed as faculty tend to do. And one guy, when I asked this question, what do you like with coffee? One guy, cross-legged, tweed, bow tie, classic faculty, and he goes, yes, sir. My grandmother used to put chunks of cheddar cheese in it, and then drink it. And when it was finished, she'd spread the melted cheese on bread, and there was a kind of hush across the whole room. Until everybody just lost it. So, yeah, that's a little strange. No one's yet beaten that with an answer. And I still want to try it. We haven't tried it yet. We need to buy some cheddar cheese and do it. It's going to be awful. But,
easy cheese.
Just, I don't know. The responses I got back from my friends, some were kind of more verbose than others, was basically cream, most great smells, chocolate, even less of a smell, biscotti, again nothing particularly startling, and cigarettes. I don't know if anyone here would confess to such a thing, coffee and a cigarette, but a number of my friends really are clean living as you guys. So they were the ingredients I started out with. Those were the kind of 4 ideas that if I can get all of these things into one drink, that would be kind of fun. And the first challenge was tobacco, because you know, it may smell okay, but put it in your mouth and chew, and that's generally less of a pleasant experience. So I wanted to find a way to get it into a drink. But first of all I had to do was find a good tobacco. The stuff I'm using here isn't as good as it was 2 weeks ago, I'll be honest. When it was really, really fresh, it was quite potent. But I'll let you have a little smell of it now. I went out and stuck my nose in a lot of jars around London with tobacconists. And in the end, the one I liked best was in a place called the Covent Garden Cigar and Snuff Merchant. And their Virginia, whatever, blend. And it just smelled really interesting to me. It reminded me of things that I liked in coffee. I don't know if anything's coming through to people as you smell it, in terms of descriptors. Plum. Any description? Sweet. Plum.
Sweet and tart.
Okay. You don't have to say anything if you don't get anything.
Nothing new.
Nothing. A lot of people say raisins. A lot of people say vanilla. Dried fruit, kind of cherry, now loading your minds with descriptors which you will now enjoy as you get into that. They were all things that I thought worked quite well in coffee. And when they do crop up individually in coffee, they're all good things. And in terms of flavour marriage, sort of using a particular flavour, the 2 things having following or
Unambiguous they are in England.
it kind of gave me a great deal of options.
Smoking kills.
Combined with that. And I went by the lab of the restaurant, and we tried a few different ways of infusing tobacco. I did probably almost kill his liquors up because it was a large slug of water that had 4 cigars infusing into it overnight. But what did work quite well was just using dairy. So what I'll do, do we have that? So to start off, in a novelty pan, which I've now come to love. We're doing 8 sets, as I mentioned. About 120 mils of half and half. Into which, not much, like 3.5 grams of this tobacco. It's pretty potent stuff. The recipe needs to be quite precise. If you add too much, then you get way too much. And if you don't add enough, then you just get nothing. What was interesting is that as this just heats very, very gently, the tobacco starts to leach out the aromas that we get into the cream. No doubt they just come right out. But equally, what comes out, along with a little colour essentially, is some of the sensation of, I guess, nicotine. The drink, the final drink, I thought it was kind of fun that it brought a physical sensation when you drank it that was unlike anything else. It's not like a chilly heat, but there is definitely a tingly, warming throat sensation. A taste sensation indeed. So the other thing I wanted to do was work with biscotti. And to work with whole finished biscotti is not the easiest thing in the world. Out of, I guess, hope, I did try water biscotti infusion and got biscotti porridge, which doesn't work that well for anything. So the idea instead was to try and recreate everything from the ground up, just using key ingredients. And I went out and I looked at loads of different recipes for biscotti cantucci, that kind of thing. And looked for different interesting ingredients that might work on. And I would bake the biscuits first, taste them, see what they were like, and then take what was interesting. And there was one that was nice that had orange marmalade in, that really didn't work with coffee. But one that did work was rosemary, kept popping into a few recipes. So one day I got into the lab at the Fat Duck again, and they had about a dozen bottles of Everclear lined up on the shelf. I was new to Everclear. It's not really legal in the UK. They just have a special license to bring it in. And inside each bottle of Everclear was something, a food. And in the first one there was just roasted peanuts were sat in there. And as I came in, he got a dropper, took a drop of it, I put my head back and he just dropped it under my tongue. Now alcohol is an extremely effective solvent of flavour. It takes both fat soluble and water soluble flavours. So it had dissolved into it tons of flavour, and because it's alcohol it evaporates very quickly. So in my head I just had a huge poof of roasted peanut, which was cool. And then he had the next bottle had whole rosemary in it, and the one after that had chopped rosemary, about which I was somewhat sceptical until we did the same thing. And they taste totally different, like completely and utterly different. It's a sceptical face on you. So the thing about rosemary, take a little piece, just one leaf or a little twig and pass them around. Like this way. If you smell a whole leaf of rosemary, it smells soft, fragrant, it smells like rosemary. But when you tear that leaf and smell it again, it becomes piney, resinous, almost eucalyptal. You get it? It was a good lesson for me to pay attention to every ingredient that I had, to kind of treat it well, find out about it. So yeah, I don't like that piney eucalyptus smell at all. I find it quite unpleasant. So I always would use whole rosemary leaves. So just going back to the tobacco quickly. Chocolate was the bridge, the flavor bridge between everything. I did eat a lot of different chocolates to try and find the best thing, which was kind of fun. And the best ones were not the most expensive ones. Like the Valrolas and the very, very expensive chocolate were so complex and often so fruity and acidic that they really kicked the balance of the whole drink out. And what I ended up using was a good 60% chocolate, but not that complex, not that crazy at all. Just good, simple, base chocolate flavors that worked much better to marry up all the flavors, and the chocolate bonds them together but doesn't take over the drink. There's definitely chocolate there, but it's not one of the big upfront flavors. So that warm cream now just sits and starts to melt over the chocolate. And our espressos will go into there in a second.